show some of the changes in the latest version. This sidebar is new, but there's some other features that I thought would be worth showing in a video. So let's look at these words, form and void. So this panel was here before, which shows you a combination of those two searches together and how many times the words are used in those passages. If I add, say, darkness as well, then you see Genesis 1 verse 2 has all three words, but the others are used in these verses. The same thing is now available in the search panel, so I could search for deep in here, say, and what else could we do? Face. That will be slow. And then you'll get the same thing here, a combination of those, of face and deep, obviously Genesis 1 verse 2 again, and these other passages. But what I've added now is this view, which shows you all of those searches, so form, without form, void, darkness, face and deep, all together in the sidebar here, with how many times they're used in each verse. So if you're doing a kind of a study across different words and different searches, that can help. That will also work with the bookmarks as well. So if I bookmark this verse, then I get the cross references for it, and they will also be included in this list of combinations. Another thing that this now does is we've got this logo up here. If you click that, it opens this whole panel up. So now I see all my screens with this wide view. So that can be useful for kind of comparing across, like with these different views, or so I can do the same with the searches. Can kind of compare them together with the combinations, and then that also gives you this option. So in here, now this is that combination with all those different searches. If I expand this, I get all the passages with the text here. So it gives you just a different way of slicing that data and a different way of viewing it, without having to kind of flick through the passages. You get them all here with a little bit of context. So that may be useful sometimes. The other thing that's new is I've sort of created two panels here. So this is for comparing two references. It's basically the same as before. This thing, let's go back to Genesis 1. So let's use Genesis 2 as an example. If I click on Genesis 2 here, I get some stats now, this stats panel about Genesis 2. It's a bit hard to read unless you open it up, so we'll do that. So that shows me all the words that are used in Genesis 2, how many times they're used in that chapter, how many times they're used all together. So how many times, this basically is quite useful, because if it's used this many times, it's probably not very interesting to us or worth looking at. So if you turn it upside down, these are the words that are very rare in that chapter. They're not used much in that chapter or anywhere else for that matter. And this is also useful perhaps because we can see how many times the word is used in the chapter itself. So obviously these words, the kind of prefixes, are very common. Adam is used a lot in Genesis 2, which is not a surprise. And so that's kind of another way of seeing what's going on in the chapter that can be useful. And then we've got this column significance. So what this does is it calculates the number of times the word is used. So in the chapter, divided by the times the word is used altogether. So obviously in this case, 1 divided by 1 is 1. 1 divided by 2 is a half. And so really the higher that number, the more interesting that word, the more intense that word is used in this chapter. So I don't know what this word is, ed, but that's obviously only used twice, and one of them is in this chapter. So it's the word mist or vapor. Okay, that's interesting. So just thought it was worth sharing that on video because it's quite a lot to take in. Hope that's useful.